Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Yep, I'm rolling with the videos this week. So I made some Toowoomba salmon. It is absolutely delicious. You have to try it. So let's hop right into the video. So I'm starting off with my salmon fillets, and I'm just going to season this with some salt, some black pepper, and I'm using kosher salt, and then some obey. I wanted to not use a lot of different seasonings because our Toowoomba sauce is so flavorful that I just wanted the sauce to just really be the star of the show. So all I'm going to do is season it with some kosher salt, some black pepper, and some obey, and I'm just going to rub it in. You can add some paprika if you want to, or any other type of seasonings, but those are the three that I use. Then I have my stove on a medium-high heat, and I put a tablespoon of olive oil in my pan, and then I'm just going to place my fillets gently into my pan, let them cook for about 90 seconds on each side until it gets like a nice crust. Then I'm going to flip it over. Once I flip it over, after about a minute, I'm going to throw in a half of a lemon wedge. You'll see. I'm just going to place it in there so all like the lemon juices can get infused in that salmon. And then I'm going to throw in a half a stick of butter. Once that butter melts, the juice from the lemon and then that melted butter, we're going to use that to baste the salmon, and it's just a must. You have to do it. It's going to be juicy. That lemon juice with the butter, and just, lemon and butter just pairs perfectly with salmon. So just baste it continuously for about a minute, and then we're going to throw the salmon into our oven. I had my oven on 400 degrees for about 6 to 7 minutes. Now moving on to making our sauce. I started off with 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and then I put about a half a cup of portobello mushrooms in, and I just seasoned it with some salt and some pepper. Now we are going to saute this for about 4 to 5 minutes. And my stove is still on like a medium heat. And I'm just going to saute this for 4 to 5 minutes. And then once my mushroom, I'm not going to remove my mushrooms from my pan. I'm going to just push them to the side, and then I'm going to add some peeled and deveined shrimp. You can use whatever size shrimp you want. I use I believe the 25 to 30 count shrimp. And I just wanted like a small medium size. And all I'm going to do is add my shrimp in and season my shrimp with some salt and pepper. And I'm just going to let everything saute together. And we're not going to cook our shrimp all the way done, because we're going to remove this and make our sauce. And once the sauce is done, we're going to add the shrimp and the mushrooms back to the sauce. And we don't want to overcook our shrimp. That's why we're going to cook it for about a minute and a half. And it's going to be almost pink. All of the shrimp will be almost pink, but not fully pink. And so we're going to remove the shrimp and the mushrooms, and then we're going to make our sauce. So starting out, I used a half a stick of butter, and I'm going to melt it completely. And then I'm going to put a tablespoon of tomato paste in. You can actually use as much tomato paste as you want to, but I did like a solid tablespoon of tomato paste, and I'm just gonna infuse that butter and that tomato paste together. And once everything, you'll see, is gonna start to like I guess you could say like melt down, but once that tomato paste just melts down, as you can see, we are going to add a cup and a half of heavy whipping cream, of cold heavy whipping cream, guys, because we don't want our sauce to break. So we're going to add a cup and a half of cold heavy whipping cream. You can do 2 cups if you want to, but I'm just going to do a cup and a half of heavy whipping cream, and then I'm just going to mix this together, and I'm going to cut my stove down to between a low and a medium heat, and I'm just going to let this bring it to like a nice simmer, and then I'm going to season it. It is your sauce. You can season your sauce with anything you want to. But for me, I'm going to season it with, of course, a little bit of salt and some black pepper. And I use some paprika and some onion powder and some garlic powder. And I did do a splash of cayenne for spice. And I'm going to mix this together. And as you can see, I brought it, it's like at a nice simmer. And I'm just going to let this continue to let this simmer. And your sauce should turn to like a orangish color. My camera is making the sauce look like way more orange than it is. It wasn't. You'll see later once after about 5 minutes, I came back and my camera for some reason just made it look so orange. And I was like, it's not as orange as you can see. It wasn't that orange, but you want it to look something like this, like maybe 1 or 2 shades lighter. And as you can see, it thickened up just a little bit, and you can taste it to adjust your seasonings. But once you get it perfect, we're gonna then throw our shrimp and our portobello mushrooms back into our sauce, give it a good mix, and then we're gonna throw some freshly chopped parsley into our sauce. And honestly, guys, you can eat this with some pasta. You can pour it over a chicken breast. You can do anything with this sauce, with the shrimp and the mushrooms. And if you don't like mushrooms, don't use the mushrooms. But just, guys, taste it. Make sure everything is just, oh, it was so good, so flavorful. And now I wanted to eat mine with some rice, so I'm making pilaf rice. All I did was use a tablespoon of butter, add 1/3 cup of diced onions in, and then about a tablespoon of garlic, minced garlic. And then after I rinse my rice off, I'm going to then throw my rice in there and let that saute with the onions and the garlic for about 5 minutes. I really want to get like a nice toast on my rice with the onions and the garlic. It brings a lot of flavor to your rice, and I think that's very important when you're making rice pilaf. And then once you saute your rice, after about 5 minutes, you then want to add in some hot chicken broth or chicken stock to your rice, and you can season it with some coriander, some black pepper, some garlic powder, some onion powder, and some paprika, and mix it all around. Add the hot chicken broth, and in total I added 2 cups of hot chicken broth. Just look on your box of the rice box for the instructions. So say if you want to use a 1/2 cup of rice, just follow the box instructions, and instead of using water, use chicken broth. And we are going to bring this to like a nice simmer. We are going to place a lid on top, and with rice, you don't have to like do too much. You just let the rice absorb the water or the chicken broth, because if you want to, you can use half chicken broth, half water. It's all in your taste buds. But I'm going to put my lid on top, and then I'm going to come back after, I don't know how long it took for my rice to get done. Honestly, I wasn't counting, but it should look something like that. I'm going to throw some parsley in there. I'm going to cut my stove completely off, put my lid back on top after I throw the parsley in, just to let it finish cooking, because there was just a little tiny bit of water in there. I'm going to let it finish cooking, but you can cut your stove off at this point. And then we are ready for presentation time, because we all know presentation is key. So to make my rice look pretty, I just stuffed it in a ramekin. And then I'm just going to flip the ramekin over on my oversized plate that I got from Target. And I'm going to put everything kind of like in the center of the plate, going in a diagonal shape. And then I sauteed some green beans. I made some garlic sauteed green beans that are good. And then our beautifully cooked salmon. And then the star of the show has arrived. When the star of the show comes, you just are so overwhelmed of how, beautiful it looks. And that's how I feel about this Toowoomba salmon. The sauce is really the star of the show, and I didn't want to take anything from her. So all I did was throw some parsley flakes on top, and then that lemon wedge that we had, I just added that to that. And of course, I was going to dig in to let y'all see how, beautifully flaky and just moist our salmon is with that sauce, the mushrooms, the shrimp. The tomato paste just really adds it's different from the blackened salmon video that I made. It's like totally different taste. It is so, so, so good. And you guys have to try this. This is literally, we are killing it with the 5-star dishes at home. And you can make this on a weekday. I know how I feel about dishes being made on a weekday, nice and simple, yet classy. But that's pretty much it, guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you guys are washing your hands, and I will see you guys at my next video.